found this really interesting YouTube channel called Forum of Christian Leaders. I am going to be tearing their arguments apart for the next 7 minutes.
As I said, universal common descent is a powerful picture. But I think it's false because there are requirements to cross these spaces in form and cross these spaces in function that separate two different groups of animals, let's say.
Okay, so you're starting out by denying all the evidence of evolution. Excellent, we're off to a fantastic start here. Just to be clear, you're saying that the evidence we have of speciation is bullshit. Okay, let's continue.
Or even two different kinds of cells. Our cells, the cells in our body, almost without exception, have nuclei in which the genetic information is stored. There are other cells, like the bacteria, the E. coli in our large intestine, that don't have nuclei. This is the prokaryote-eukaryote division. Crossing that boundary between a prokaryotic state and a eukaryotic state is not something that we really understand. There are theories for how it happened, but none of them, I think, actually work.
Interesting use of the word theory there. I did a little research on this guy. He has a PhD in philosophy of biology, so he knows what the word theory means. A theory is a scientific framework with a predictive quality. It's what every idea aspires to be. It's the best qualification an idea can get. For example, the germ theory of disease, the theory of gravity, or the theory of evolution. But I didn't even know philosophy of biology was a major, so I looked it up. Here are some of the questions philosophers of biology might try to answer. What is a biological species? How is rationality possible given our biological origins? How do organisms coordinate their common behavior? Are there genome editing agents? What is life? What makes humans uniquely human? What is the basis of moral thinking? Seems right up this guy's alley. Except instead of taking a natural approach, he took a God approach. The problem with that is the fact that we don't have any evidence of life coming from an intelligence. People haven't been able to create life so far, so why does he think that any other intelligence would be able to? His hypothesis is built on sand.
And throughout the whole of biology, you see these discontinuities in form and function that really, at this time, 2015, have not been spanned by a plausible evolutionary mechanism.
No, we don't see discontinuities. We see unanswered questions. This guy's acting like evolution completely breaks down after a single generation or something. That's not the case. Evolution makes complete sense intuitively, mathematically, and scientifically. An example of an unanswered question that we have is, how did life get its start? That has nothing to do with evolution, and it definitely doesn't mean God did it. It doesn't break the scientific method, as some people seem to think. Interesting choice of words, though. Discontinuities. Bullshit.
Intelligent design, by contrast, gives you a way of understanding how those discontinuities came to be. Because a designer, unlike a natural process, can go to the particular functional target that he wants to make real and say, well, look, these cells are going to be doing a different job. They need a different way to store their genetic information. They're going to be more complicated. So I will provide them with the features they to be a eukaryotic cell, and these prokaryotic cells will be much simpler. So design, I think, gives you the explanatory power to deal with the actual discontinuities that we see in the biological world. And I think this is fully testable, and I think it can lead to additional knowledge.
Get ready to hear my voice change octaves. By saying he thinks it's fully testable and it can lead to additional knowledge, he's saying that he thinks it can qualify as a scientific theory. A scientific theory needs to have a predictive quality about it, which is the additional knowledge portion of that. And it has to be testable and falsifiable to be a theory. Unfortunately, we have no tests. There's no falsifiability about it. There's no predictive quality about it. I mean, he just straight up lied. None of these things apply. It is not a theory. At best, it's a hypothesis. At worst, it's a shitty idea. Okay, let's address his claim about intelligent design. He says it's more plausible to think that a designer created life. As I said before, we have no evidence of intelligence creating life. Humans haven't been able to create life so far, and until it's demonstrated, we can't believe the assertion that intelligence can do it. ID doesn't explain anything. It just says that we all appeared here one day. That's not substantiated at all. But if it were the case, why is there all this rock-solid evidence of evolution? Why is there all this rock-solid evidence that the universe is 13.7 billion years old? You have to directly contradict the evidence we have to assert that God did it. Aside from that, even if there was rock-solid evidence for intelligent design, what does the Christian God have to do with it? It could have been, and is more likely to be, aliens than some all-knowing, all-seeing, all-powerful God with all the specific traits of the God of the Bible. The probability just gets more and more narrow the more caveats you add to it. It has to be a God that did it. That God had to have written the Bible. That God had to have come to earth as Jesus and died for humanity. On and on and on. How do you make a leap from our cells were designed to the Judeo-Christian God is real? Next, he says that intelligent design gives you explanatory power to deal with the discontinuities in evolution. First of all, what discontinuities? And actually, ID doesn't give us any explanatory power. It's just trying to poke a single hole in a single scientific theory. Their main argument against evolution is that things are irreducibly complex. Another argument is symbiotic relationships. But scientists don't have to go out of their way to explain those things. They're just part of the theory. With symbiotic relationships, the creatures grew and evolved together to depend on each other. For example, bees and flowers. And with irreducible complexity, there just hasn't been an example of something irreducibly complex. But even if there was, it wouldn't prove the Judeo-Christian God did it. It would prove that we have questions to answer in evolution, just like we do in quantum mechanics and physics and every other field of science.